Thank you for that.
Yeah, I make a swaying decision on seats, but.
Want to work? Got what?
Looking for snacks.
We're ready to start the meeting, folks. Welcome everybody to tonight's Sorell Council meeting, 18th of February 2025. I'd like to begin with the acknowledgement in country by paying my respects to the traditional and original owners of this land and Aboriginal people. My respect to those who have passed before us and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are custodians of this land. Do we have any apologies, please? No. Item number 4, declarations of pecuniary interest. I believe Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Not a pecuniary interest as such, but I'd like to take the opportunity to note of perceived conflicts of interest potentially. Just a couple of items. Item 23 on page 104. The question on notice from the public is from my sister, very short. So I'll just note that now. And also in the general manager's report, I believe, mention of the First Primary School Master Plan, and I'm a member of the First Primary School Association Committee. So can I those two?
Okay, thank you. Right. Item number 5, confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. The recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 21st of January 2025 be confirmed. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Reid, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Right. Mayor's report. Recommendation that the Mayor's communication report be listed and received. Can I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Nichols and Councillor Larkins to second. Any questions?
Through the chair, you're meeting with the Southeast Arts about the Southeast Arts exhibition. What's the result there?
It was an initial meeting between the chair of the Southeast Arts and myself, the engagement officer, and Stacey, communications manager. And it was really a foundation meeting outlining the next Southeast Arts Sorell Council collaboration exhibition, be held in November. But since that meeting, the South East Arts have had their AGM, and there is now a change of committee and a new president and secretary. So we will be meeting with those new members at the mid-March, I believe. Psyche Hitchings, the original president, has stepped away from the exhibition. So we will start those discussions again or continue them as they see fit. They may have different ideas, I'm not sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Could I, just following on from that, Mayor, could I ask, was there any mention of Sorell Rotary? Because I believe they were approached to take over, or no mention of that?
Not that I'm aware, no, there was no mention.
Perhaps it hasn't gone.
There was no mention of that whatsoever.
They have been asked. So, just a bit of information.
No, I haven't heard that in any way, shape or form.
I've got a second question. The outcome of the meeting with the Sorell Men's Club and, Men's Shed rather, and the Sorell Lions Club.
So that was a follow-on from Mr. Dutton's visit and the possibilities that have resulted in that. Just to clarify to them what the pledge would mean if it became available, if it happened. Really what the precinct was about, and the assurity that both the Men's Shed and the Lions would be appropriately assisted in a new location.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Hopkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Just curious what your outcome of your half-yearly briefing with Taswater was.
Right, okay, so I think it seemed like a very honest, it was an online meeting, more like an info session than a discussion session. Talked around changes to the legislation, so any Taswater are basically trying to recoup some of the money owed to them and some of the money lost, so getting their act together and making more appropriate decisions. So I think this is dependent on changes in legislation, so possible price increases or price levelling from April onwards, and any bad debts with business is to stay with that business after sale, so they can recoup it from the sale. Updating historic business and industry contracts, some of which are outdated, again to sort of level the playing field. Interestingly, they are now focusing on water wastage. I don't know whether it's because they can't get on top of the ageing infrastructure, but anyway, any education is good, as far as I'm concerned anyway. So they're looking at a literacy program through primary schools around water conservancy and other wastewater issues. And somewhere, I'm not quite sure where, there is $165 million worth of capital investment. Now, I'm not quite sure whether that's happened or is going to happen, but that was a figure that I took from there. So, but I'm guessing that's essential upgrades to the system. So that was that meeting.
Another one, if I may.
Yeah.
You had a meeting with Sorell Football Club around their conversations around their future plans and updating the club rooms, club rooms. What was the general gist of their
Rebecca Wright was meant to attend that meeting as well, and she actually pulled out at the last minute. I don't know if I put that in the agenda or made that. Yes, so Rebecca White was meant to be there. She couldn't attend at the very last minute. So it was generally their plans, as in they need to tidy up the club rooms. The club has expanded now, they've taken on the girls. The masters is growing as well, so they talked about extending the club rooms sort of horizontally. Now we're not talking about the second floor build. New kitchen. They just wanted guidance really around how they should approach the council with that, around DAs and that sort of conversation, plus some landscaping as well around to move the wet area from in front of the windows, and possibility of a barbecue under a shelter in that wet bit of car park underneath the trees. They've got lots of ideas for the club, and some questions for council around the operations as well.
Have they got money?
Sorry?
Have they got money?
Not a great deal of money, no. No, but they have to do certain essential upgrades, particularly around the canteen. So this is the start of the conversation, I think. Yeah. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. The best board meeting, noted the matters addressed. What of those would be of most interest to council?
I think that the best organisation now it's gone beyond the infant stage, and it is creating foundations for the future. So it's ticking the boxes around appropriate education, around the reconciliation, the child safe policies. It's making sure that everybody is covered and the messaging the same. I don't know that there's any directly associated with council, but certainly key takeaways around the training, child safety and the reconciliation that we could sync with, because the council are looking at those policies as well. They're creating a sound governance policy to take them forward more as an independent entity than a child of CERDA or council. Thank you, that's right.
Could I take us back to Taswater for a minute? Was there any acknowledgement from them, or even past mention of the fact that 7,000 people in this shire who don't have water and sewage?
No, there was no
In a
comment.
suburban context? No?
No comment at that meeting, no. No. Sorry.
Yeah, I live in it.
Any further questions? Can I take it we're all happy with those and have a show of hands in support? Unanimous, thank you. There's no supplementary items. There's item 8, council workshops. There, item 9, no council questions on notice. We will go to item number 11.1, recommendation that the work group reports as listed be received. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Larkins and Councillor Reid. Thank you. Open to conversation, questions. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you. I just had a question for the general manager about your meeting about the prosperity council expansion.
Yeah, through the mayor. It was more of a catch up with the 2 staff members from the department who got the project to run. One's the I can't remember Todd's correct title, is effectively the asset manager for the state for the department, and another chap who's involved with comms engagement. So they just briefed myself and Stacey and Natalie on the final tally up of the feedback they've received from the engagement they did late last year, which will be made public, if it's not already made public, it soon will be. And that their intention this year now is to, I guess, having all that feedback to now commence the actual planning process of what the site might look like and how it will work, taking into account the feedback received. So their intention is hopefully to commence construction early 26. They've allowed an up to 2 year build time. It's challenging building a new school or effectively updating a school inside an existing operating school. So it was a useful discussion. We've discussed other matters around Sorell School and what we'd like to see with further upgrades and what the Catholic education wants to do longer term to the east as well. So it was a good catch up, but will be obviously part of the discussion around actually what happens to the site. Yeah, interested in our input as they are with others have shown an interest so far.
And just following on, you mentioned the Catholic school. Is there any timeframes on that? Obviously, nothing.
No, I mean that's a long-term project. It's something we've identified and worked with those owners for nearly 10 years, and I won't talk about the minister's fast track process, which will probably be a slow track process, but they've secured a site for that school, but it's a long way to go before it will come to fruition. But, at least well over 5 years away.
Land, the site?
There's through there, there's some issues with access to the site, but that's why we have a master plan for the whole area that requires all the owners to cooperate and sort of share opportunity and risk as well to make it come to fruition. So it's a long way from being locked in.
Councillor Reynolds.
Through the chair, just an update where we're at with the Pembroke Park master plan. Have we got any sort of time frame when we believe this will start and when we're hoping for an end outcome?
Through the mayor, we've started the process, so we've engaged the consultants far in place, and now he's got the task of running the project, so he's better informed than I am as far as timing and when the engagement side of it will kick off.
Imminently. So the consultants are just doing all of the prep work now, so I believe that they were intending to start the consultation phase with the community and target user groups early in March. I'll be able to get you exact dates. I think follow up afterwards.
Yeah, I just see a few conversations with different sport clubs, so it's probably good timing. And while I've got you, also an update on the stadium floor. I see there's been a temporary fix, but I'm hearing that there could be a long-term shutdown by a more permanent solution happens.
Yeah, through the mayor sites, going through insurance process, assessment process, so they've looked at condition and forming a view on if the floor needs replacing or not, either in part or in its entirety, and from that it will be determines to when that's can happen by virtue of supply of materials and when it should happen to have the least amount of impact. But we're certainly getting closer to knowing for certain if the floor has to be replaced. And there's a number of staff involved with it to just try and minimise the disruption, because there's the potential that the slab needs to be treated before it can be, if it needs to be relayed before that happens. But it's not a quick process to get to the bottom of this.
I was about to ask if it does show up that it does have to have a full floor replace. Do you have any idea how long that time will take?
Well, it's through the mayor. It's one where there's got to be the supply materials need to be secured, and then materials need to come to site and sit in the environment there for a period of time as well before they can be laid. So it could be in the months, but we haven't locked in anything yet. Unless it's something you want to add. Jess? No?
Sorry, can I follow on with that question, please? Is the court usable in the meantime for training or for games? Or one of those, or?
So our view is it's been assessed as being suitable for use, and we're going through a process with the users and the associations to get sign off their content. We've had a hygienist in there on behalf of the insurer to make sure it's suitable for use as an area, as a space. And we pretty much have the necessary confirmation from the users. There might be one or two that are still pending, but yeah, the repairs have been made to the areas that were investigated or otherwise suitable.
Thank you. Councillor Root.
Thank you. Through the chair, there's a couple of items, meetings there regarding the land use planning. In that context, there's also been a lot of media recently about development application appeal rights and changes or restrictions to those. Is that part of that strategic planning that's happening, or is that something?
Through the mayor, that is a more recent sort of announcement from the minister about what they're considering by way of changes to presumably LUPA, to the ability to lodge an appeal. I'm not really across it. I've heard what's been said. I haven't bothered to inform myself as to how they intend to achieve it, but it's really a case of trying to, in their mind or their eyes, to minimise superfluous appeals or people who have been exercising appeal rights that probably, in the eyes of the minister or his government, aren't really impacted. So how you determine that at the outset, in a legislative sense, or in a procedural sense? I'm not sure how that's going to be achieved.
Thank you. So, if I may, just to clarify, so council hasn't received any information about it or request for input or anything like that?
I haven't yet, but I'll mention it will be coming hot off the LJT email if it's in circulation. But I haven't seen it yet.
No, okay, thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Schramm?
Thank you, Mayor. General Manager, is there anything further the reform proposal for the East Coast? Have you got any, haven't heard how the meeting went with Morgan?
No, through the mayor. Good question, council. I actually haven't heard anything twice since. I've had nothing from
Haven't heard anything.
acting director or acting deputy sec about that. I'll find out if it's appropriate to find out.
And just one more from perhaps Natalie. The Brighton to Cambridge freight route, where do we fit in that?
Through you, Mayor. I am still getting myself up to speed on all of the history and the scope, but effectively there is a proposal to work out a better route to streamline freight from the Brighton Bridgewater sort of industrial hub through to, I believe, the airport.
Cambridge,
At Cambridge. So that's and then just working out different options as to what might be the best new route.
It's been on the cards for a while.
Yes, it seems like it's a long lasting step growth in the project.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No. Can I ask for a show of hands in support of that recommendation that the work group reports be received? Unanimous, thank you very much. Over on to page 46. No change, I understand, in the Blue Lagoon petition. No. No new petitions received. On to item page Item 17 on page 47, Community Grants Programme. The recommendation that the council resolve to approve the grant application for the Primrose Sands Country Music Muster under the 24-2025 Community Grants Programme as per the following report. May I have a move for this, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Larkins. I went down to the event, unfortunately. The weather was not great, to say the least, but it was well supported and everybody was having a good time down there. Any comments on the recommendation, Councillor Reid?
If I may, it's fantastic to see the event in its 25th year. And I know that council's provided community grant support for a number of years. Just a comment, an observation, I suppose, for council to consider perhaps some sort of ongoing funding that is possible for, in some circumstances, rather than the annual application process. So just a comment, but in full support of this one.
Nothing further? All those in favour of this recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Page 49, on to finance, item number 18, 18.1. The recommendation that the executive summary financial report January 2025 year to date be received and noted by council. Can I have a movement, please? Councillor Larkins and Councillor Reid. Any comment on these? No. All those in favour of the recommendation, please show of hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. On page 69, item 18.2, operating budget mid-year budget review. The recommendation that the council resolve to receive and approve the Sorell Council operating mid-year budget review. There's lots of information in that report. Can I have a move, please? Councillor Woolley and Councillor Reid to second it. Open for discussion. Comment? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Through the chair, a comment that I frequently make, but particularly so in this case, to thank the staff involved in such a comprehensive report and giving us such confidence in the financial position of council, which is priceless in itself.
Absolutely, it is well written.
Yes.
And explains a lot. So, all those in favour of accepting the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 18.3 on page 85, the long-term financial plan. The recommendation that the council resolve pursuant to section 70 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the revised long-term financial plan. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Larkins, Councillor Nichols. Seconded. Any comment?
Chair. Am I correct in thinking that we used to attempt a 20-year forecast?
Yeah, through the bit. Very, very early versions had that, but they're a bit ambitious and not particularly
Yes.
accurate. So
Yeah.
that legislation and various government orders require the 10-year period, and it's just a lot more realistic to, even though that as you get towards the end of that forecast period, some elements are a bit, certainly in the estimate range, but yeah, so 20 years was deemed unhelpful.
Thank you.
Nothing further? Right, all those in acceptance of this report, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 18.4, page 91, 2024-2025 capital budget adjustments. The Recommendation that the council resolve pursuant of section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2024-2025 capital budget estimates. Can I have a vote, please? Councillor Reynolds and Councillor Reid. Any comments? No? Okay, can I see a show of hands accepting this report? Unanimous, thank you very much. So, I believe now we move to page 104, which is questions from the public, but I'd also like to note there that item 23 is questions from the public, but 23.1 is questions on notice. And Diana Shaw, Dodgers Ferry submitted several questions which have been noted in the agenda and the general manager's response as well. So I'd like to open the floor to the questions from the gallery, please. Could you please stand and state your name clearly for the record and then ask the question, please.
Hello. Good evening, Sharon Cobling and Fawcett. I saw in your agenda that there's a 701 Arthur Highway subdivision that's been queried at the moment. Can you tell me how many lots are in that subdivision?
I'll have this one to the general manager.
This
I think I know the answer, but
Through the mayor, what page would that be on?
It's in what page now, sorry. It was being appealed apparently.
24.
Thank you, councillor. Yeah, that's through the mayor, that's effectively 3 1,200 square metre lots, and then a large balance lot.
Could I also ask, I've been hearing a lot on the wires about the stylists, improving the housing, and apparently in Sorell there's supposed to be 2,000 to 3,000 houses going up somewhere. Which area are you looking at? Is that Mount Garrett, and is infrastructure going to support these developments?
again, Gio.
Through the mayor, so I'll try and do this quickly. The Southern Tas Regional Land Strategy is currently being revised by all councils with the government. Part of that is looking at the existing urban growth boundary and making provision for a long-term supply. And within that, there's an area identified from the bypass effectively to the base of Mount Garrett. There's a long-term supply corridor for Sorell, so inclusive of residential and a school site, open space, and some employment generating land as well. The Minister for Planning has taken the view that there's some areas that we've identified, that the councils have identified in the review of the urban growth boundary that he'd like to try and fast track, plus some other areas that we haven't identified that come from developers somewhat randomly, that he also wants to fast track as well. Unfortunately, they've taken a really coarse approach to working out a theoretical maximum number of houses that these various parcels of land can accommodate. And certainly for what we refer to as Sorell East, so from the bypass to Mount Garrett, the figure that they've nominated is grossly overestimated. They've basically taken the entirety of the area and just assumed an average lot size and how many houses you could put in. There's no consideration of the master plan that we've got proposed for that area, how much that's consumed by school site, open space, life and service industry land. So yeah, that those theoretical total dwelling numbers are completely erroneous.
So would the council argue with the government that the Arthur Highway in that area really couldn't support 2,000 to 3,000 new homes, I mean, where's the traffic going to go?
Well, through the, that's the whole issue, is that the figures are wrong. And our approach is not to try and shoehorn that many houses in that area. It's to have a master plan approach with services that go with it, plus infrastructure as well. So we'll be, the council will be putting in a submission to that process. And the steering committee has been set up to run the reviews of the strategy for all Southern councils. We're putting in a submission as well, because we're not overly impressed with the minister's approach to try and speed up these areas by creating a separate process. So it's an unusual act.
So will the community eventually have a say in that too, or will it just be council and government?
No, through this new process that the minister's created, I actually need to confirm, but I suspect public will be able to put in submissions.
I'm sure it's open for consultation out to the 6th of March, so you can put in, you can put in your own submission, opinion.
And if we were to get, if this hadn't happened and we were still in down the path of, presenting a revised strategy, Southern Tas land use strategy that's based on a methodology and forecasting and actual data, that too would be open for public comment at the right time. But that process is now stalled because of this other decision of the minister.
Can I ask you too, is the government keeping the council updated on the causeway? I mean, it's supposed to be finished by this, now they're putting out for comments on it. This was done 5 years ago, they asked the community then for comments on it, and now they're going back and seem to be starting all over again. How long are we looking at before something happens?
Through the minutes, it's still progressing. They have to, what you can see at the foyer now, they're actually getting closer to locking in a design concept for both of them. And they've explained it numerous times, they've been delayed through the federal environment approval process as well. So there's certainly the number one priority at stage one will be the causeway to Midway. And sometime after that will be the second causeway to Sorell. It remains to be seen if there'll be funding still available for the second one, but they're saying that that's their intention.
And are they looking at traffic management for this, or like there's a huge volume of traffic use those causeways? Are they already thinking of how they're going to manage that?
I can only presume the answer is yes. I mean, they're going to be constructing them separate to the existing causeways. Obviously, they can't shut the causeways down, but as to the details, I'm not sure yet.
Thank you.
Hi there, Jennifer Bain, 182 Cotton Beach Road. Maybe just by way of background, I'd just like to mention the huge turnout on Carlton Park Beach a couple of weeks ago in support of action against the salmon farms, proposed salmon farms in the bay. And I'd just like, there are quite a lot of people on the beach. We're aware, obviously, of the work we've been doing with council and the motion that went to council and the recommendations that came out of that. And we are looking at doing, following a number of different ways of bringing to the attention of various authorities how we're feeling about the proposed salmon farms. And one of those is a petition that we're doing to the lower house, which garnered nearly 1,000 signatures on the beach that day, which is quite substantial. However, there is still a lot of interest from our community on the actions that council is taking as a result of the recommendations at the last meeting. So I was just wondering if there's any way that we can work with you to understand exactly the message you may be writing, or the meetings you may be having, or what actions you're taking as a result of those recommendations. Would there be a way that we could sort of work together to find out? I'm just wondering if that might be possible.
Through the mayor, it's my apologies, Eddie, I had intended to contact you before this council meeting to let you know what
No, no
we've been doing, and I'm happy to catch up with you to talk about it. So we've just, so we formed up our initial letter to the Tasmanian senators, plus Lions members, plus Lion federal candidates, plus the various state ministers who have a role in the state process that will come. But I mean, the letters only went out on today, or we're going tomorrow, and seeking a meeting in the first instance between myself and the various members or candidates. But I'm happy to, I'll certainly contact you and
Great.
let you know what
Thank you.
we're doing,
Yeah.
how we're going to do it, because I'm not clear myself on with
No.
your dual group, sort of who's doing what and how. So yeah, we need
Yeah,
to
that
have
would
a
be
discussion.
great. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hello.
Hello. Diana Shaw from Dodgersbury. Not so much a question but a statement, and just want to acknowledge the General Manager's response to the questions on notice, and the statement particularly about like already taking action on that and giving priority to community engagement and advocacy. So just want to acknowledge that, and that we've received that really positively across the community.
Thank you. Anything further? No? Well, in which case I would like to close the meeting at 6:40. Thank you all for coming tonight. And we'll move into close meeting. Thank you.